Y'all, did y'all hear about 17 people have came up missing in Atlanta after they did an application on Indeed and was offered an interview? They went to that interview and no one ever heard from them ever since. This is scary and we got to be careful. Well, everybody got to be careful. If you applying on Indeed, be careful. Because y'all know I went to the Book of the Face and I searched this, right? Because everything get talked about on the Book of the Face. And when I searched this up, it's so many posts talking about how people are going on these interviews that they're getting off of Indeed and they're not being seen after they go to those interviews. Can't nobody find them. So for the mothers and fathers, or hell, even if you ain't a mother or father, you probably out there looking for you a job. Be careful letting your children apply on Indeed, and you be careful with applying on Indeed. I remember back in the day, you used to get a job off Indeed like that. Now they using it to kidnap people.
I need everybody to listen to me. Listen up. If you are in Florida and you've been job searching on Indeed, be careful. People are literally ending up missing by thinking they're going to interviews, and it turns out they're being, you know what. Please be careful, guys. Indeed jobs. Be careful on that website, guys. They're using the website to meet up with people, and then when you get there, it's no job. It's just a white van. And y'all know what I mean. I can't really be too, about it, but y'all know what I mean. Here in Florida, I need y'all to be safe because I care. I'm dead serious. Be safe out there, guys.
So I want to do a caution to all current job seekers. Something happened to me about 2 months ago that I was debating on talking about. I haven't told most of my friends. That was extremely terrifying. So I quit my job about 2 months ago. So a little background about me. I went to Old Miss. I've had about 8 years of experience in relationship management, working with companies, really big companies, Google, etc., a lot of other tech companies. And when I quit, the current company I was at, I just thought, okay, I can just find another job on LinkedIn. It'll be easy. I didn't realize that there are people on LinkedIn that are targeting to human traffic people. So just to give you a little idea of what happened to me, I talked to a recruiter on the phone. This company seemed legit. And then the company I'd be working for was a subsidiary company, so a company under them. And it was in the media field. And I was, interviewing for a lot of different places. So I wasn't paying attention as much as I probably should have as to asking questions up front. But the recruiter, after our initial interview, said, the head of the department would love to meet you. Would you mind meeting at a place about 45 minutes away, so Long Beach? Because if she lived in LA, I lived here. It was in between, so I thought, no problem. Obviously, I needed a job. So fast forward, I'm beginning to think, okay, this is kind of weird. Like my intuition, I was beginning to think something was a little off. So right before the interview, I messaged the recruiter and I said, hi, can you please send me the address of the corporation in Irvine? And she said she didn't know it. So flag number one. Two, on my own, I couldn't find the office that I would be going to, which was weird, but I thought, okay, maybe it's brand new, maybe they're starting out. I just didn't think anything of it. So I end up going to meet up with, the head of this department. And right when I met her, I felt like there was something off. She wasn't asking me any questions about my resume. any KPI questions I was asking her. Just something felt very off. And
Indeed is a danger zone. Please be careful when going online and setting up job interviews on Indeed. I've just seen a gentleman where he posted that 17 people in a group from Atlanta came up missing after they went on a job interview, just like that, nowhere to be found. I don't know how true it is, but I've just seen it. I've seen where there have been an serial unaliver from Florida been setting up people interviews at a warehouse, and people have came up missing. They found one lady body months later after she went to a job interview and met a gentleman at a warehouse. I seen another story where a young lady gives her testimony of not going. She set up the interview, but she felt eerie about going to that job interview. And it probably saved her life. You can look it up. Y'all be careful when you're going on these websites. If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. It's sad that going to look for a job, you just may come up missing or you may lose your life. Y'all, I knew nothing about this. Y'all share the post so everybody can become aware. Y'all be blessed.
All my Houstonian people, please come to the front line. Please. If you have kids, please listen to this message all the way through. And I'm not playing. This is not a joke. This is not something for likes and buttons or whatever. This is for awareness purposes only. So my niece, she had an interview here recently with a company called Paramount Staffing. She had been applying to a lot of positions on Indeed, and you know, she really haven't really been getting any successful, you know, hits or whatever. But I told her keep applying or whatever, something will hit, you know. So she been applying using Indeed, and I think she been using like some temporary services platforms as well, and she been applying to some of the companies as well as but she hasn't been successful in landing a gig. So she received this call from this lady, stated that she had applied to this position on Indeed and she was interested in interviewing her. So I remind you, the lady told her that, one, she applied to a position on Indeed, and two, that's how she found her application or whatever. So I'm excited, she excited, you know, we go to the interview or whatever. I told her, I was like, okay, let me take you to the interview or whatever. Okay, so the next morning, you know, we had to get up early in the morning. You know that Houston traffic is egregious. So you have to get up about an hour or two just to get somewhere in the peak hours. So so we got up the next morning. I'm tired. It's my day off. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, let me just get up and take her to this appointment or whatever. So we pull up at the place, and I don't like the area. I'm like, this area does not look really good. But anybody that live in Houston, they know, like, most of the areas in Houston don't look that good. You will have, you know, nice areas mixed in with, you know, some areas that don't look so pleasing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we pull up. I'm like, I don't too much like it. You got to pull up in this little alley or whatever. But it was a hotel there, and it's a building complex there. So I guess we were pulling up on the back end of the business building. And the building, it had like 20 floors. So I'm like, okay, it can't be too bad because it's like a 20 floor, you know, business complex. So I drop her off in the front, and she proceeds to go into her interview. And I just parked somewhere waiting on her, whatever. So she came out, and I asked her, I said, so how did the interview go or whatever? And she was like, it went really good, auntie. I'm just so happy. She was like, it just, even if I don't get the job, I'm just really pleased with just the information that I received. And so I asked, I said, so what did the lady ask you, during the interview? I said, what were the questions? Did you work on, your speech and, take your time in responding to the questions or whatever? And she's like, yeah, but she said she only really just asked me 2 to 3 questions. Okay. I mean, I guess depending on what type of position you're looking for. So I was like, I ain't think nothing of it or whatever. So she was like, it's a bunch of young people in there or whatever. She was like, I really like the environment. She told me that, once I get on, they go out to different events. They have like day parties and stuff. And, they have day parties and they travel a lot. They go to Dallas. They go to California. They go to Florida. They even travel internationally. They go to Europe and Dubai. So I'm kind of like, okay, it kind of didn't rub me the right way, but it didn't rub me the wrong way. So I'm like, okay, cool. But I'm still excited because I'm like, okay, cool. This is something new for her or whatever. And I asked, I said, so what kind of position it is? She said, it's a marketing position. I said, see, look at that. I said, God is looking out for you. I said, you need to keep your faith regardless of what the outcome going to be. I said, maybe this was an opportunity to, open your eyes up to know that you can apply to marketing positions, that that's something you really are interested in if you want to be a content creator because you like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So she was like, yeah, you're right. It's making me think or whatever what I want my career to be. I said, I think you should explore it. You're really good with your TikTok and your Instagram and your YouTube. I say, I think you should explore that. And so I'm encouraging her. I'm excited. I'm like, God didn't bring you this far to let you down or whatever. So we get to the house, and like I say, I was super tired, so I really didn't have time to process everything. I was so excited that she had an interview, and let alone that the lady seemed like she took a liking to her. So she did say that the lady was going to call her back around 5 o'clock p.m. No, 6 o'clock p.m. And so I said, okay, cool. I can't wait till 5 or 6 o'clock come. So I fell asleep. I woke up to a text message from my niece, and she was like, I got good news. And I already knew what that meant. She got the job. So I was like, okay, cool. I said, so when do you start? She said, well, my orientation is Friday. I said, okay, cool. I said, what's the name of the company again? She said, Paramount Staffing. So here I am, nosy, being the overly protective auntie that I am. I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and look the company up and see what type of reviews they got and what all kind of day parties they got in case Auntie could be invited. So I looked it up and I'm like, I can't find the company. And I already know, I'm like, this finna start a little argument with her because I can't really tell her nothing. So I be trying to tread lightly when I approach her because I'm like, okay, I don't want to upset her. So I was like, you know what? Let me go in here and ask her again, what's the name of the company? So she was like, this is the name of the company. I said, what, did they give you any type of paperwork or anything? They gave her paperwork. Hold on one second. So it looked like she threw the paper away. I was trying to find it. But like I said, so here I am. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me Google the company and see what type of interviews they got. So I asked my friend, I said, can you look up this company and see if you can find it? Because I can't find it. Okay, boom. My friend was like, nah, I can't find it. You sure this is the company name? Yeah. So on the paper, it had like Verizon, AT&T, all these like wireless companies that provide like internet and phone service. So I'm like, okay, it ain't got no damn company name on it. What the fuck? Like, now, I done got my rest and I can really think clearly. I'm like, what the fuck? This is not, is this legit? Like, I don't know. I don't think, maybe that's why I was kind of like getting a little leery and I had the little bubble guts in my stomach. Because I'm like, it don't sound right, When she started talking about Dubai, they take trips to Europe and Dubai and all this stuff. I had already kind of like, it was a little red flag. But like, again, I didn't want to discourage her. So she called the lady. The lady didn't answer. And she kept calling and texting. The lady wouldn't answer. So I said, okay. I don't think you should go to that orientation or whatever. Because I don't know what is going to be, you know, going on in that orientation. And of course, in Houston, the first thing you think about is human trafficking. I'm like, I'm not taking you to that damn orientation. I said, if you go, I'm going with you, because at this point, bitch, you're gonna have to hire me too. Because why are y'all targeting 20-year-olds? Why are you hiring 20-year-olds only? Like, why are you targeting 20-year-olds? Because they know that they're not going to think on their own. They just hear money. So I'm like, the whole time I kept telling her God was looking out for you and he wouldn't take you to this far to let you down, not knowing that God was actually protecting her. God was protecting her, one, for allowing me to, you know, take her to the appointment, two, allow me to have the spirit of discernment, and three, just being overly concerned and overly protective. I mean, sometimes we be thinking we know God's plan and we be knowing, but yes, God has a plan, but it may not be the plan that you be thinking it is. And when I just processed everything, I was just so thankful. So please be careful. If you have kids in Houston, Texas, please be careful, especially if they 18, 19, 20, looking for jobs. Please tell them to apply to the companies directly and not on Indeed, because that lady, my niece, looked on Indeed and she saw that she never even applied to the position. And Lord knows what could have happened. It could have been human trafficking. They could have probably just tried to scam her to get her identity, anything. And I have been tempted to go up there and knock on that fucking door and ask them, okay, what kind of scam y'all got going on? Or